This is Goku-san DBZ, and I am reviewing the first of 3 reviews. Of course, I'm filming Star Wars Shattered Empire, number 3 of 4, of course. As you can see, it's a beautiful cover. We have Princess Leia and Lando Calrissian. We have the general opening, and then we have here, we're on another planet, as you can see. And we have obviously a battle going on. A couple people scouting out, and setting charges, and getting ready to activate the charges. Of course, he has a rocket launcher, getting ready to target. In order to access this particular base of the remnants of the Empire. Of course, you have AT-ATs. And they can't figure out where, of course, the shooting and stuff is coming from the rebels. How's so much for that, trooper? And it looks like they're in trouble, but backup arrives in the form of Chewbacca. Which, that's pretty cool right there. And, as you can see, the cavalry has arrived with General Solo. Happy to see her, obviously. And here we have C-3PO, and it's very enjoyable overall. That's one thing I'll say about this miniseries. I'm actually kind of sad that it ends in just one more issue. Of course, here we're back on Naboo. As you can see, the storms from the satellites that the Empire is using to strike and destroy the planet. That was one of the last things, of course, Palpatine wanted done, so the new Republic and stuff would not overtake his home planet. Of course, here's the Queen of Naboo with one of her handmaidens, head of security, which kind of reminds you of the guy who was over security in the first movie. Princess Leia, obviously. Which they're having a conversation, what to do about the whole situation. And they figure that the jamming and stuff is, of course, being done by, obviously, the Star Destroyer, because it's one of the only things the Empire has that's capable of jamming an entire planet's signals. And so they ask about if there's any fighters or anything, and he says there's not, but come to find out the Queen had been holding something out. Knew about some from the past Queen. They in fact actually had fires. And she mentions that no one has accessed this place where the fires stay in 20 years or more. It's very interesting. She says, "Do you feel that?" Walking down now, doesn't that look kind of familiar from episode 1, The Phantom Menace? It should. Because she stands right there and she feels the presence of Darth Maul from when he stood there in episode 1, The Phantom Menace. And, of course, obviously, since she's a Skywalker, she has access to the Force, just like her brother, Luke, and, of course, her past father, Anakin Skywalker. Or Darth Vader, rather. But yeah, she could feel the remnants of elements of the Force of that time period. Possibly, maybe there was leftover elements of midichlorians or something. Hard to say. And of course we have continuation here where she unveils the Naboo fighters. And Princess Leia ends up deciding to also use one of the fighters to go up. And here we are back on the other planet, where Solo's attacking the Imperial Stormtroopers to stop him from getting rid of the data and information about those messages and stuff on Naboo. Luckily, he gets stopped right before he can initiate the deletion. And of course, C-3PO here ends up gaining access, and he makes an interesting discovery about that planet. And here the Queen is taking off her makeup and stuff because she's going to join Princess Leia and of course the guard that joined Princess Leia with the envoy. Because come to find out, before she was elected Queen of Naboo, she was a certified fighter pilot. Luckily for them. Interesting how things always seem to work out in the Star Wars universe. And as you can see, she joins. And they mention, like, he mentions, why don't you have a handmaiden do it? But she explains that she would not ask something of one of her handmaidens she was not willing to do herself. The perfect example of a good, obviously, leader. And here they are getting ready, obviously, to take off to try to stop the satellites, causing this disruption and trying to destroy Naboo, as well as try to stop the Star Destroyer. You know, we have scenes of some of the lightning, and also they mentioned that there's typhoons going on, and that the Gungans are having great problems, even though most Gungan seas are underwater, which is probably the safer place to be right now, to be fair. And of course, we recognize this hangar from Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. And now we go on. Now we're in space, of course. And obviously, we got the Star Destroyer. They're trying to figure out what to do, how they're going to be able to fight off the short-range fighter jets. And obviously, as you can see, here's one of the satellites which they have to target to stop causing this, which, as I mentioned before, is sort of similar to the myth of what we have in our world called the HARP system. It's very similar in a lot of aspects, except a much larger scale. Plus, it's being done from space. And of course, she's trying to survive fighting the TIE fighters. It's interesting, nowadays they call them TIE fighters, though back in Episode 4, originally just called Star Wars, of course, he called it a short-range fighter, is what Obi-Wan Kenobi called it, of course. And there we see destruction. Of course, it's always very beautiful artwork with most of the Star Wars comics. That's one thing I have to say. I love the detail in aspects of things, and of course the much better quality paper that they use nowadays and stuff. And here we see right at the last moment when it looks like they're barely going to survive, the cavalry arrives, being led by none other than Lando Calrissian, saying that he didn't come early because he loves to just appear in the nick of time to be needed. And of course, as you can see, they're firing on and destroying the Star Destroyer. And they successfully stop the destruction of Naboo, which is good. And there you see Leia relieves her of her duty so she can go down and greet her husband. And of course there we see in the background Leia holding hands with her dear Solo. And of course that's to be continued till issue number 4. And that is a review of Star Wars Shattered Empire, issue number 3 of 4. And I hope you enjoyed this Star Wars comic review. Leave a comment below. As always, tell me what your favorite Star Wars comics or favorite Marvel comics are. And stay tuned for my future 2 comic book reviews, which I'll be doing. Follow me at twitter.com/GokuSunDBZ, as well as on Google+. Please thumbs up the video, of course, and subscribe, as always. And I hope you enjoyed this. And the other 2 videos that I'll be doing in the near future are going to be Star Wars Darth Vader, issue number 7, and Drex, issue number 1. And that's right, one of the writers on it, CM Punk, the professional wrestler. So stay tuned for those 2 special future reviews. And I'll see you next time here in YouTube land.